a billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg. If we have a nominee who has a history of hiding his tax returns, of harassing women, and of supporting racist policies like redlining and stop and frisk. Look, I'll support whoever the Democratic nominee is. I have said many times before, we are all responsible for our supporters. Mayor Buttigieg really has a slogan that was thought up by his consultants to paper over a thin version of a plan that would leave millions of people unable to afford their health care. It's not a plan, it's a PowerPoint. And Amy's plan is even less. It's like a Post-it note, insert plan here. Bernie has started very much, has a good start, but instead of expanding and bringing in more people to help, instead his campaign relentlessly attacks everyone. Mayor Buttigieg says he will put a cap only on the premiums. Amy, I looked online at your plan. It's 2 paragraphs. And I hope you heard what his defense was. I've been nice to some women.
Non-disclosure agreements.
How many is that?
Let me finish.
Who knows how many non-disclosure agreements and the drip, drip, drip of stories of women saying they have been harassed. Missing a name all by itself does not indicate that you do not understand. Listen to Senator Klobuchar's point. She says we have to think smaller in order to get it passed. I don't think that's the right approach here. Mayor Buttigieg has been taking money from big donors and changing his positions. The vice president stood in the Oval Office and said, I hope that Mitch gets reelected so I can keep working with him. Well, Mitch did get reelected. He did not have an epiphany. Instead, he blocked nearly everything that Barack Obama tried to pass.
Did you ever
and
win
he
anything?
stole a Supreme Court seat from the Democrats, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
So in terms of being able to beat Donald Trump, I'm better positioned, according to your poll, than anybody else to beat Donald Trump. The mayor says that he has a great record, that he's done these wonderful things. Well, the fact of the matter is he has not managed his city very, very well when he was there. He didn't get a whole lot done. But I pay for it by making sure that Mike and other people pay at the same tax rate their secretary pays at. Mike called it a disgrace, number one. Number two, Trump decided to get rid of it. And number three, my friends here came up with another plan. But they don't tell you. When you ask Bernie how much it cost, the last time he said that, I think it was on your show, he said, we'll find out. The mayor argued against that. This idea that he figured out it was a bad idea. He figured out it was a bad idea after we sent in monitors and said it must stop. Even then, he continued the policy.
And it said that he actually thought that 3 of us should get out of the way. There are 149 million Americans that would lose their current health insurance under Senator Sanders' bill. And the way I look at it, since we're in Vegas, when it comes to your plan, Elizabeth, and Bernie's on Medicare for All, you don't put your money on a number that's not even on the wheel. My blood pressure is lower than Mayor Pete's.
You're on the committee that oversees border security. You're on the committee that does trade. You're literally in part of the committee that's overseeing these things. And we're not able to speak to literally the first thing about the politics of the country to ourselves.
Are you trying to say that I'm dumb, or are you mocking me here, Pete?
I'm saying that you shouldn't trivialize that
I made an
knowledge.
error. People sometimes forget names. What happened to you? You lost by over 20 points to someone who later lost to my friend Joe Donnelly. So don't tell me about experience. He was asked on a debate stage about the Mexican cartels, which are bad criminal organizations. He said that he would be open to classifying them as terrorist organizations. I actually don't agree with that. And that's what we want in a president, Elizabeth. We don't want someone that looks at just plain.
You voted to make English the national language. Do you know the message that sends?
I wish everyone was as perfect as you, Pete, but let me tell you what it's like to be in the arena. He had made a pretty big allegation against me again, and I think I should have a right to respond.
I'm stating the facts because these are votes that you took, and those votes set you alone. among the Democrats
That is
running for president.
You've memorized a bunch of talking points and a bunch of things.
Let's put forward somebody who's actually a Democrat. We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out. You're not the only one who cares about the working class. Why did this pattern arise? Why is it especially the case among your supporters?
I don't think it is especially the case, by the way.
That's just not true. Look,
Well,
I think you have to accept some responsibility and ask yourself what it is about your campaign in particular that seems to be motivating this behavior more than others. And a lot of folks on this stage are now saying that's enough. But I am certainly prepared to get a physical, put out the results. I think everybody here should be willing to do the same. He said that it's impossible to even know how much it's going to cost. And even after raising taxes on everybody making $29,000, there is still a multi-trillion-dollar hole, which means that the hole in there is bigger than the size of the entire economy of the United States.
under your plan, which is a maintenance continuation of the status quo,
Senator Sanders is saying, if you're not with him, if you're not all the way on his side, then you must be for the status quo. Well, you know what? That is a picture that leaves most of the American people out. Where's the other $25 trillion supposed to come from? At a certain point, you got to do the math.
well, we got it all up there on the internet. It's a payroll tax.
Bloomberg opposed raising the minimum wage.
I think you got the wrong word. We are sick and tired of billionaires like Mr. Bloomberg.
And that's
so
what
we are saying, Pete, is maybe it's a time for the working class of this country to have a little bit of power in Washington rather than your billionaire campaign contributors. We should also ask how Mayor Bloomberg in 2004 supported George W. Bush for president. Billionaires today, if you can believe it, have an effective tax rate lower than the middle class. So
Senator,
maybe
you're writing
just
the tax code. Why are you complaining?
What?
Who wrote the code?
You did. You and your campaign.
The other 99
You
senators.
and your not me.
Oh, come
you
on.
and your campaign contributions electing people who represent the wealthy and the powerful.
Yes,
those
most
are
of
the
them
folks.
Democrats, thank
those
you.
Are, Mike Bloomberg owns more wealth than the bottom 125 million Americans. That's wrong. That's immoral. You know what, Mr. Bloomberg? It wasn't you who made all that money. Maybe your workers played some role in that as well.
What a wonderful country we have. The best-known socialist in the country happens to be a millionaire with 3 houses. What I miss here?
Well, you'll miss that I work in Washington, House 1.
That's the first problem.
Live-
The facts are,
Didn't
I
you call
was
him a
there.
disgraced
Let me
overseer?
finish. Thank you. But the solar array that the vice president was talking about is being closed because it's not economic, that you can put solar panels in and modern technology, even more modern than that. I'm the only one here that I think that's ever started a business. Is that fair? Okay. What we need is listening to this conversation. This is ridiculous. I'm spending that money to get rid of Donald Trump, the worst president we have ever had.
I know Donald Trump. He's a great guy. I'm a big fan of Donald Trump.
Think he's going to run?
I have no idea.
You say that you're a big fan of Donald Trump.
I'm a friend of Donald Trump's. He's a New York icon.
You've actually been quoted saying you're a big fan.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.